Hi everyone, made it 7 days. So managed to complete my fast, and yeah, just thought I'd come and sort of say a few words really about kind of how things have been going the last day, and maybe sort of a few comments about for the future what I might do with the channel. So I mean, like today's kind of been a little bit of a struggle to get through because I think mentally that you're kind of coming up to that last sort of few hours, and oh, my tummy has been rumbling like terrible. I think there's a psychological connection between information in your brain and your body, and you really find that when um, you know that there's a time coming up and you haven't eaten for 7 days, and your stomach is just telling you, like it's, I want to eat, I want to eat. I mean, maybe that's not the case for everyone, but for me, I really noticed the last few hours coming up towards the end of the fast that the stomach was saying, no more, no more. So for me, 7 days is enough, and I guess that's one of the things I wanted to talk about really in this video. Is it too much 7 days? Do you really need to fast for 7 days, or to get the benefits, to get a lot of benefits? And I think it's probably something I'm gonna modify next time, because I think I felt pretty good after about 3 or 4 days, and I've done a bit of reading, and apparently you really are getting a lot of the major things that you're going for are happening around 3 days if you're looking for cellular repair and that kind of thing, which I was. Now, if you're really trying to lose weight, I would argue that prolonged fasting into, like, 14, that kind of category where you go beyond 7 days, because you hear about some Hollywood actors who have to lose weight for a part or something they've got coming up, and some of them have done it in a month, but they've literally not eaten. They've got, probably got very, like, they've probably got doctors living on site with them, checking them every day, that they're being paid for. But that's not the point. The point is, I think it's just such a drastic way of losing weight. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. A lot of them seem to say it works, but I think it's kind of like much better to lose weight over a longer period, because then I think it's a bit like the muscle memory we talked about in yesterday's video. I think that you find your set point with your weight, and your body has kind of got a bit of a metabolic memory, so you can definitely sort of like brute force it to lose loads and loads of weight by just doing a massive fast for 3 or 4 weeks. But the chances are your body's just going to find a way to claw that back later. Whereas if you change your behaviours over the longer term, like 6 months to a year, your body can reset its set point. So just my opinion. People can do what they want, but I mean, I think for me, fasting as a tool, as a kind of, like, big hammer. The big hitters for me are, it makes you feel much more kind of, mentally aware. I mean, it's a huge thing for me, and it makes you feel, like your memory's better. My skin is so much better, and I sort of sleep pretty well. I haven't slept so well on the fast, but I mean, like, I've last night, I kind of felt like I had a little. When I did go to sleep, I felt like it was a bit more calm sleep. I sometimes get some really bad dreams and things like that. So you never know whether diet can affect all of those processes overnight. But anyway, for me, I'm happy. I kind of feel like I've got it over the line. I kind of set myself a task of doing 7 days, and I've done that. But next time, I think 3 days for me, even 3 or 4 days, I was feeling great, you know. And maybe if you do 3 days, it's just more practical, isn't it? Like, you could probably fit that in without having to take time off work. It's just, if you've got a family and you've got kids and stuff running around, it's very difficult be absent from, you know, meals and things like that, you know, or to be really kind of having to have all that extra willpower to deal with the family situation for 7 days. I mean, it's like, you know, a lot of people go away and do it on their own somewhere, just lock themselves away in a cottage somewhere, you know, because distractions are just going to really, really make it harder. So for me, 3 days I think is all the big hitters. You get all the big benefits. So maybe next time I do that. But yeah, I mean, one of the other things I think, because when you know, going out of the actual full on fast and back into a kind of new kind of approach, new relationship with food, really, that's what my next steps it will be. Because my diet was really good at one point when I was doing fasting about a year ago, and then a load of life stuff happened to me. I had to move. I had loads of stuff happen, and just practical stuff came in. I just totally lost track of what I was doing in terms of health, and before I knew it, I was eating, you know, all the things. So I've got to reset that, and this fast helps you to do that. It helps you to kind of think, okay, I've got kind of gone with reset my you know, clean slate. Now how do I approach what I'm going to eat? So I'm just going to be very, very kind of like protein, fats, trying to cut down on the carbs to the point where they're almost not in the diet. I'm not going to completely cut out carbs, but I'm certainly not going to be, you know, hitting the bread and sandwiches and that kind of thing. I can't do that anymore. So for me, it's more about having a, you know, keto-ish kind of carnivore-ish sort of diet. I'm really not going to subscribe to any kind of religious thing. I'm going to probably just move around a bit, because I love vegetables, and I love some things that maybe I couldn't have on a carnivore diet or keto. But yeah, just sort of everything in moderation. You know, all those old sort of axioms. You know, everything in moderation. Might have a glass of wine here and there. I'm supposed to be doing dry January, but you know, let's see how that goes. Anyway, so I think it's been a success for me. I feel very, very clean, and yeah, I made it through. And I think sometimes there's like a bit like, you know, marathon. If you've ever trained for a marathon, you know that you start out, you know, you're doing like kind of little runs, and then you sort of do a 5k. Then sort of about 2 months into training, you do a 10k, and it's like, it's a bit like that. But to be honest with you, I don't want my fasting periods to feel like a sort of ordeal, or a kind of you know, like I'm training for a marathon. I think three days you can do it without feeling really, really pushed to your limit. Like, this was enough for me. I don't want to do anything longer than 7 days. And I'll probably do one shorter next time, as I said. So going into the relationship with food, I mean, yeah, you've really got to sort of start seeing food as medicine in a way. That's the way I see it. I mean, obviously, food is closely linked to our emotions, and its colour. It's like art. There's so much to it. It you know, it feeds into lots of different kind of psychological areas. But I think if we can start to kind of see it also as a medicine, then maybe we look at that medicine and we say, look, I don't, you know, look at this thing. What is in this thing? Like some processed food or white bread or something. You look at it and it's like, that's just going into my body. You know, what does that mean? It's not just a thing that you do and you forget about it. It's like, that's got to go in my body. I've got to live with that. You know, I've got to live with that, whatever's in that and how it's made. So, you know, old thing again, but very true. If it's natural, it looks like it did when it came out of the ground or came out of the sea or came off the farm. You know, like an egg. You know, an egg is an egg, and you know, eggs are amazing. Eggs are great, and they were demonised in you know, in the 1990s or whenever it was with that. Can't remember her name. Went out with John Major. That one. And she basically said that, you know, oh, it's all cholesterol and everything, gonna give you a heart attack, and that. It was all rubbish. Eggs are absolutely one of the most incredible sources of protein, and they're they're natural. Obviously, there's all sorts of terrible intensive farming that goes on and stuff, but try and buy some like you know proper organic eggs. Not just free range slapped on the box, but something where they've literally run around and you know had a bit of a chance to get out in the open air. And farm shops are everywhere these days. You can buy some incredible meat. I mean, I had some Barnsley chops a couple of months ago and for Christmas, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. You don't get meat like that in the supermarket. The animals have been looked after and the meat is incredible. And it's just like, spend a bit of money. Like, don't buy crap. I'm sorry, but like, a lot of people are struggling right now with money. I don't know, it's difficult because they're making meat so expensive. I don't know why. It's like this kind of like we don't want people eating meat anymore because it's bad for the environment or something like that, which is total rubbish as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, without getting too far into the politics, just try and buy the best food you can if you're going to put it in your body. Don't like think, oh, I'm going to save a quid here or a quid there. Just buy some good eggs. If they cost £4, buy them. It's it's your health at the end of the day. So and obviously don't eat. You're not going to be eating as much if you've reset your relationship with food. You're not going to be eating for like comfort eating, emotional eating. Or this fast would have really helped. This 7-day fast would really help to reset that. And you have to take it forward now into the next part of your life. You have to try and sort of maintain the reset and move it into your daily eating. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to go from here and probably have a bit of MCT oil again, just starting to line the tummy, and looking forward in about 3 hours I'm going to have a bit of kefir, which is like fermented yogurt, and a bit of sauerkraut. That'll give me a bit of fibre, and then about 4 hours I'm going to wait after that, and then I'm going to try and have a bit of steamed salmon later on. But we'll see how it goes. I think you just got to monitor how you feel, but you can spend a whole day refeeding. Don't rush it. You may have a little bit of sauerkraut and you think, oh, I feel like knocked out. Like your stomach might feel like you've had a massive meal, even though you have a little few spoonfuls or something. So just don't rush it. Don't put loads of food in your mouth. Just whatever you have, just chew it slowly, and then just be very, very kind of like monitor it. Wait a bit longer, because you can get all sorts of things going on when you're refeeding. Normally, if it's carbs, if you've done the right thing and bought the right things, fats, and a bit of fermented yogurt or something, you should be fine. But people who go and have like a burger or something, it's like just take it easy. I know you're hungry, but you could sort of have all sorts of like strange reactions in your blood and stuff. Right, so thank you very much for coming along on this journey with me. I'm going to be back and do some more videos at some point, but I think for the next few days I'll just be refeeding, and well, hopefully by tomorrow I might even be able to have a normal meal. But I think it's gone quite well, and I pushed myself, managed to get through. There's a few little hairy moments there where I thought, oh, not feeling great, but overall I really recommend doing it. So thanks for joining me, and please like and subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be back and do a few more videos, as I said, just around things like eating plans for like intermittent fasting, which I'm thinking about doing 16/8. So yeah, hopefully a few more videos for you on that when I get to that stage. All right, thanks for joining me, and see you on the next one.